Welcome to Universal Flooring's Installation Guide. We've created this video to assist you in installing and caring for Universal's 9/16" engineered hardwood flooring. The following information is divided into 4 parts, 3 installation methods, and a short section on floor care. Along with the information shown here, be sure and follow carefully the installation guidelines packaged with the flooring. Since our engineered flooring should not be acclimated, we require that you do not open the cartons until the day of installation. Finally, always use proper safety equipment and techniques as you install your floor. The first method we'll look at is the floating installation. This method can be used over these subfloors and is recommended for most installations. First, using the instruction sheet, assemble the necessary tools and materials you'll need for floating installation. We recommend our Universal tongue and groove glue, tapping block, and pull bar for this method of installation. Next, evaluate and prepare the subfloor that the new floor is to be installed over. Begin by using a straight edge to check for level. The floor should be level within 3/16 of an inch over a 10-foot span. If more than 3/16 of an inch, flatten or fill to bring the surface level. If any part of the subfloor is loose, repair those areas. Be sure the surface is clean and dry. Test wood and concrete surfaces for moisture content according to the directions in each carton. High moisture conditions and below-grade installations require adding an additional moisture or vapor barrier before proceeding. Now, remove any quarter-round molding and carefully undercut any door jambs using a jam saw and a scrap piece of flooring as a spacer. Next, determine the orientation of the floor, normally parallel to the length of the room. Avoid end planks shorter than 12 inches and rows less than 2 inches wide. To plan for this, measure the room's width, subtract 1 inch for expansion, and divide by 7.5 inches. If the remainder is less than 2 inches, rip the first row to a 3-inch width. Then measure the room's length, subtract 1 inch for expansion, and divide by 72 inches. If the remainder is less than 12 inches, cut 18 inches off the first board and slide the whole row down. Use the offcut of the last piece in a row to begin the next row to help stagger the joints. Be careful to avoid repetitious joint patterns that can become unsightly. Begin the installation by covering the subfloor with 1/8 inch closed-cell foam. Lay the foam rows perpendicular to the direction the flooring will be laid. Butt and tape the seams. Our acoustical padding underlayment is an excellent option when added sound protection is desired. Now, install the first row. Start with the groove edge to the wall. Insert 1/2 inch spacers between the wall and the floor to create an expansion space. If the wall is not straight, you may need to scribe and rip the first row of planks so they follow the wall and provide a straight line. Continue the row, applying glue into the end grooves and locking the joints together. Allowing for the 1/2 inch expansion space, mark and cut the last piece. Save the offcut to use when starting the next row. Be sure to make all cuts in another location to avoid getting sawdust and debris under the floor. Use the pull bar to make the end joints tight. Begin the next row with the piece you cut off from the previous row. Rack out 3 to 4 rows to see if you're creating an undesirable joint pattern. When you're satisfied, apply glue in the groove of the first plank and tap the joint tight with the tap block. Continue installing more pieces. Using the pull bar, be sure and pull the end joints tight before tapping the long joints together with the tap block. When you reach the last row, place a spacer against the wall and measure the gap in 2 or 3 places. Transfer the measurements and rip the last row of planks to fit. Install using the pull bar to make the joint tight. To complete the installation, remove the spacers and reinstall the old moldings to cover the gap. Or you may choose to install Universal's matching hardwood quarter-round molding. Be sure to nail the molding to the wall and not the floor. Where the new 9/16" engineered hardwood flooring meets other flooring surfaces, apply the matching transitions to the subfloor and the installation is complete. Since it's a stable, real wood product, Universal Engineered hardwood flooring can be easily installed using traditional nailing and stapling methods over these subfloors. To begin, follow the leveling, moisture, and orientation directions used in the floating method. Using the back of the package and the installation sheet, assemble the tools needed for nailing installation. If a power nailer is used, be sure to have the correct faceplate or nailing shoe to match the profile of the tongue and groove. Begin the installation using the same calculations as in the floating method. Plan carefully to avoid short end pieces and unsightly joint patterns. Next, cover the subfloor with number 15 black building felt. Run the felt perpendicular to the floor, starting at the finish wall, overlapping the joints 4 to 6 inches, and ending at the start wall. Now, get started by ripping the groove off the first row of planks. Begin installing by face nailing along the wall edge. Always allow for the 1/2 inch expansion space. Continue installing by nailing along the tongue edge. Use an 8 to 10 inch nailing schedule and always leave a 3-inch space between the last nail and the end of each board. Use Universal tongue and groove glue in the end grooves. Continue installing more rows using the tap block and the pull bar to lock the tongue and groove joints tightly together. When the last row is reached, measure the gap, allowing for the expansion space. Next, rip the board to fit and use the pull bar to tighten the joint. Face nail while staying at least 1/2 inch from the edge. Install the trim over the gap, add the appropriate transitions, and you're done. Using this last installation method, glue down, you can install our 9/16 inch engineered hardwood flooring by gluing it directly to the subfloor using hardwood flooring adhesive. These subfloors are suitable for glue down installation. With the glue down method, the leveling, moisture, and orientation directions are the same as in the floating installation. As previously mentioned, the base moldings must be removed and the door jambs undercut. Once again, using the back of the package and the instruction sheet, assemble the tools needed for glue down installation, including wood flooring adhesive and a trowel with the correct notch spacing for that adhesive. Follow the same procedures as in the floating method to calculate proper joints. After planning the first 3 to 4 rows, rip the tongue off the first row of planks as they will be installed with the tongue side toward the wall, the opposite of the other methods. Begin the installation by spreading the adhesive to an area sufficient to install a couple of rows. Hold the trowel tightly to the floor at a 45-degree angle. Once adhesive has been applied to a sufficient area, allow the adhesive to flash, following the directions on the container. Begin laying the first row of planks in the adhesive, placing the tongue side to the wall. Allow a 1/2 inch expansion space along all vertical surfaces. As the row works across the room, a scrap piece of flooring held at a slight angle is used as a tap block to lock the joints together. Continue working more rows into the adhesive. As soon as possible, move over onto the new floor in order to apply adhesive in front of the row. Don't work off the newly installed rows without a knee board to help protect the row's surface and alignment. Continue applying adhesive and more rows until the room is covered. Measure, trim, and fit the last row as previously described. Carefully weight down the perimeter and allow the adhesive to cure 24 hours before using the floor. Install moldings and transitions as described in previous sections to finish. Now, let's spend a few moments discussing how to protect and care for this beautiful new floor after it's installed. While Universal's 9/16 inch engineered hardwood flooring is finished with our tough UV-cured urethane with special wear-resistant properties, a few simple steps will keep it looking great. Try to protect the floor from dents and scratches from furniture and even some types of shoes. Use mats to keep sand and dirt from being brought in from outdoors. Immediately after installation, we recommend cleaning the new floor with our Marathon Cleaner. Regular dust mopping or vacuuming will protect the floor from the abrasive effects of dirt and dust. Occasional scratches can be quickly taken care of with wood finish touch-up sticks. After 6 months or a year, a coating of Marathon dressing is recommended to top coat the finish. The floor should be cleaned thoroughly before applying. Always follow the directions on the label. With proper installation and this small amount of protection and care, a universal engineered hardwood floor will add style and beauty to any home for years to come.